All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here today. My name is Justin Kelleher. I'm a registered yoga teacher. I live here in Boston, down in Jamaica Plain. So just a stone's throw away from some of the parks in the necklace. Thank you so much for having me today. So for tonight's practice, we're going to be doing in our class, it's going to be a blend of Vinyasa and Restorative Yoga. So just to give you a brief outline of how we'll begin, we'll start class with a little bit of breathing, some centering. Then we'll move into some breath-guided flow, really gentle, really simple. And then we'll move into a restorative section. And so those restorative postures are meant to be held for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. So I'll guide you into the shape. I'll give you some offerings, some modifications, how to set up with your props. And then we can just rest in those shapes for about 3 to 5 minutes. And the real concept behind restorative yoga is doing less. So it's really about setting yourself up, finding support, and letting your body rest and relax down into that support. And so for that section, we will have some props that would be really, really helpful for this. So I'd suggest that you have a blanket nearby, a blanket or two. It can be a yoga blanket. It can be a blanket just off of your bed, off of your couch. It can be a bath towel, just something that can give some support underneath the legs, underneath the knees, just to make the ground a little bit softer. Another prop that you might want to have nearby would be a pillow or a bolster. Really just something to help support the body. You could use probably 2 pillows. You could use a yoga bolster if you have that. Maybe something off of your couch might work. Just have that nearby. And if you have yoga blocks, those can always be helpful just for helping make the ground a little bit closer for any of the shapes that we're going to practice. But throughout practice today, really everything that I have to offer for you is just an offering. So listen to your body, tune into what you need. And because this is a Vinyasa and restorative class, I really encourage you to make this really an internal practice. So focusing in on the breath and then the experience of what you're, what's coming up in these postures more so rather than the, outward appearance of them. So we'll begin practice with a little bit of breath work. So find yourself in a comfortable seat. That might be a cross-legged seat. That might be kneeling down on the shins. You can take a yoga block or a blanket and place it underneath you just to bring a little bit of height up to the spine. Sometimes sitting on something can help you sit up a little bit taller. What we're looking to do is find a lot of space in the chest and the torso area so that we have a nice location to breathe. You might also want to sit on a yoga block. And so take a moment to find a nice comfortable seat. Relax the hands somewhere comfortable down on the body. And sit down firmly into whatever it is that you're sitting on. Really notice whatever's making contact down with the mat. And sit up really tall. You can close your eyes or let your eyes be heavy. And take this as an opportunity to shift gears. So shifting from whatever it was you were doing before practice, and this is a time to acclimate yourself with your area. And to tune into the body. Maybe you begin to notice the breath. Sit up really tall, let the shoulders fall away from the ears and reach the crown of the head upward. And notice the quality of the breath today. So are your breaths short and shallow? Are they long and deep? Where in the torso does it feel like the breath is filling? Is it more in the belly? Is it more in the ribs or somewhere closer up by the collarbones? And so as we move through practice today, we're going to be exploring a concept called satya. It's a truthfulness. It comes up in the yogic texts. And that means truthfulness in the way that you wouldn't tell a lie, but in today's context, we'll use it in honoring the body. And so recognizing what your body feels like it wants to do. And being honest with your range of motion, being honest with your energy level. Making the practice internal and true to yourself. So we'll begin with a breathing practice called Nadi Shodhana. This is an alternate nostril breathing. And so we'll take a breath in through one nostril and then out through the other, using the hand to block the nostrils. So make a fist with your dominant hand, and release your thumb, your ring, and pinky fingers. And so bring that shape up to your face. And if blocking the nostrils doesn't work for you, you can do this all mentally and just visualize this breath. So with the pinky and the ring finger, block the left nostril and inhale through the right nostril. Block both nostrils for a moment. Release the left and exhale through the left. Inhale right back in through the left. Block both. Release right, exhale right. And that's a full round. We'll do a few more of those. Inhale through the right nostril. Block both. Release left, exhale left. Inhale through the left nostril. Block both. Release right, exhale right. Now take a few more rounds of this, working at your own breath pace so that you're not tied to my cueing. Whether you're actually blocking the nostrils or doing it with the mind's eye, really visualize the breath traveling in through the nostril. Visualize the breath lingering just between the eyebrows as both nostrils are blocked. And watch the breath travel through the other nostril. And so continue to sit up tall as you work through this. And honoring your breath pace, not taking breaths too full, not taking breaths too shallow. Really finding where your breath wants to be today. Examining the breath and being honest with the breath. And take one more round of this. And the next time that you exhale through the right nostril, you can release the hands back down into the lap. When you arrive there, just take a moment, just notice the breath again, checking back in with the qualities. See if the breath is any different now than it was when we began practice. And then as you're ready, you can come to make your way into a tabletop position. And if you have a blanket nearby, it might be nice to take the blanket and spread it out across the mat. Just offer a little bit of padding on the knees. It'd be nice if you have sensitive knees or if you're working on a hard floor. When you come into tabletop, the wrists are stacked with the elbows and the shoulders, and the knees are stacked with the hips. And so engage the core and reach out through the top of the head. Really press down into the ground, really find a sense of stability, a sense of strength downward into the ground. And anything that I offer is really just a guide. So if you feel that something would feel better in your body, feel free to take that at any time. You're more than welcome to and encouraged to do that. So take an inhale, arch your back, pull your collarbones through, find cow pose, take your gaze forward, drop the belly down towards the mat. And then exhale, push the ground, round to the back, spread the shoulder blades apart, cat pose. Again, inhale, arch the back, pull the collarbones through, take your gaze forward, cow pose. And then exhale, push the ground, round the back, cat pose. You can take a couple rounds of this, again, working at your own breath pace. Using the whole inhale to bring yourself into cow pose, and then the whole exhale to arch, to round the back, draw the shoulder blades apart into cat pose. And so in these restorative centered practices, we really look to use the breath as a tool to join that with movement. So really imagining that the breath is what fuels the movement in the body. A couple more rounds of this cat-cow. Feel free to maybe wiggle out the shoulders, push it back into a child's pose. Begin to express with it, make it feel like it's serving your body for you today. Again, being honest with what works for you. And then come to find stillness, again, in a nice long tabletop position. And walk your hands a print forward and tuck your toes and push your hips up and back into downward facing dog. So anytime in practice, if we're in downward facing dog and this doesn't work, you can take child's pose, you can take tabletop. But in this downward facing dog, feel free to pedal out the feet, dropping one heel down, then dropping the other, just beginning to get into the back of the legs. Maybe you dip one shoulder, then the other. And come to find stillness in your downward facing dog. Take a big inhale, sweep your right leg up back behind you. Bend the knee and then open up the hip. And take a little circle with the knee in one direction. And take a circle in the other direction. Again, being honest with yourself, treating your body with respect, knowing your boundaries. And then take an inhale to reach the right leg up and back. Exhale, step the right foot up towards the right thumb and drop the back knee down. Walk your hands up to your hips. You're in a low lunge with your hands on your hips. And just take this as an opportunity again to check in with the mat. So press down into the front foot, press down into the top of the back foot, and reach up through the crown of the head. And take both arms up alongside your ears for low lunge. And so find something steady, unmoving, off in the distance to take your gaze out into. Maybe you bend a little bit deeper into the front knee. Maybe you reach up and back with the fingertips just to invite a little bit of a back bend into the shape. We're still early in practice. Be real gentle with yourself. This doesn't have to be the deepest back bend you've ever taken in your life. And a couple rounds of breath here. Breathe into the ribs, breathe into the collarbones, breathe into the space underneath the armpits. And take one more big breath in this shape. And exhale, plant your hands, step your right foot to the back of the mat and come into a high plank pose. You can stay in the high plank or you can drop your knees down. Lower yourself all the way down to the belly. Untuck your toes, bring your hands to your low ribs. Use an inhale to lift your head and your collarbones up off the mat, coming into low cobra. And so press down into the top of your feet so much that your knees begin to lift. Take your gaze forward. And imagine that each inhale could lift the chest up just a little bit higher. One more big breath in here. As you exhale, tuck your toes and push yourself up and back into downward facing dog. Moment here in downward facing dog. Maybe you pedal out the feet again. It really feel nice to stretch out the backs of the legs, especially if you've been sitting all day. Take an inhale, sweep the left leg up back behind you this time. Bend at the knee and open up the hip. Take a little circle with the left knee in one direction, then back in the other direction. Then use an inhale to reach the left leg way up back behind you. Exhale, step the left foot up towards the left thumb, tap the right knee down, and walk your hands up to your hips. So really, again, building this lunge from the ground up. So making sure that you have a nice strong contact of the left foot down in front of you, nice strong contact of the top of the right foot back behind you. Hug your legs together and reach up through the crown of your head. Take your arms up alongside your ears for Anjaneyasana, low lunge. And so once you find this shape, you're welcome to stay here. You can bend a little bit deeper into the front knee, reach up through the fingertips, and maybe invite a little bit of a back bend. Just finding a little bit in the spine like you did in cow pose just a few moments ago. Opening up the chest, taking the breath into the collarbones. And again, being really honest with how your body feels today. You can take one more big breath here in this shape. Exhale, plant your hands, step the left foot back into high plank. You can drop your knees or lower yourself all the way down to the belly. And press down into the tops of your feet. Inhale, lift the collarbones, lift the head up for Cobra pose. Maybe you come up a little bit higher this time than you did last round. And press down through the feet, lift up through the chest, pull the collarbones forward. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take one big breath in downward facing dog. As you exhale, drop down to your knees and then sit back on your heels. And I'll turn so that you can see. Put your right hand outside your right leg and sweep your left arm up alongside the ear, taking a side bend. It's really opening up underneath the left side body, finding space underneath the armpit, rooting down through the left hip so that you can reach up a little bit higher through the left fingertips. Being really mindful of the breath, checking in, noticing how the breath fills the body. Noticing if you're pushing yourself too far or not pushing yourself far enough, and really honest with how the body is feeling today. Inhale, both arms up alongside the ears, and then exhale, switch sides. Left hand plants, reach with the right hand, fingertips all the way up towards the corner. And again, sit down through the right sit bone, reach up through the right fingertips, and take the breath into the right side body. Really embodying this shape. Less of a performance and more of an experience. And inhale, both arms up alongside the ears, and then exhale, fold yourself forward down into child's pose. And so once you're in child's pose, you can sweep your hands down so that they're closer to your ankles and you're in a tiny little ball down here. And this is going to be the starting and ending shape for a little flow that we'll work through based on the moon salute. And this is really a flow linking breath to movement. So although I'll be cueing it, if you feel like you need to go faster or slower, you're more than welcome to do that. And so sit back on your heels and take a big breath in, sweep your arms up alongside your ears. And then exhale, fold yourself down into child's pose. Inhale, pull yourself forward into Cobra pose. So slide the chest down along the mat, pull the collarbones forward, finding the Cobra that we just did. And as you exhale, hips come up and back into downward facing dog. And step your left foot up to your left thumb and drop your right knee down. And take a big inhale, sweep your arms up, finding that low lunge. And then exhale, plant your hand, step your right foot to the top of the mat and fold at the top of the mat. And inhale, come all the way up to stand, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up through the fingertips, get really tall. Then exhale, fold yourself right back down. Inhale, left foot steps to the back of the mat. Keep the left knee lifted. You're in a runner's lunge. And exhale, right foot steps to the back of the mat, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift yourself forward into a toes tucked upward facing dog. So pull your collarbones through. It's like a enhanced Cobra. And then exhale, drop your knees to push yourself back into child's pose. Sweep the hands back by the ankles. We're in that beginning shape again. Just a round of breath here, just to reset, recalibrate before we take it on the other side. So sit back on your heels, inhale, sweep your arms up alongside your ears. And exhale, fold into child's pose. Inhale, pull through to Cobra pose, really slither through, pull the collarbones through, press into the tops of the feet. Exhale, hips up, downward facing dog. This time, right foot steps to right thumb, left knee taps down. Inhale, arms by the ears, low lunge. Maybe you find a back bend here. Exhale, plant your hands, left foot steps to the top of the mat, fold. Breath in, come all the way up to stand, reach up, get long through the side body. And then exhale, fold yourself right back down. Inhale, step back with the right foot into runner's lunge, look forward. Exhale, left foot steps back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward, toes tucked, upward facing dog. Let the pelvis hang, pull the collarbones through, reach up through the crown of the head. Exhale, drop the knees, sit back into child's pose, sweep the hands back to the ankles. We'll settle in here for a couple rounds of breath. Notice the rate of the breath. Notice if you're generating any heat in the body. We'll flow through a couple more rounds of that. So sit back on your heels, inhale, sweep your arms up alongside your ears. And then exhale, fold forward into child's pose. Inhale, pull yourself through into Cobra pose. Open up the collarbones. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Left foot to left thumb, drop the back knee. Inhale, sweep your arms up, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Maybe you find a back bend. Maybe it's a little bit deeper this time. Exhale, plant your hands, right foot steps to the top of the mat and fold. Inhale, all the way up to stand, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold yourself right back down. Left foot steps back into runner's lunge, gaze comes forward as you inhale. Exhale, right foot steps back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift yourself forward into the toes tucked, upward facing dog. Drop the pelvis, pull the collarbones forward. Exhale, drop back into child's pose. Sweep your hands back into the original shape. One round of breath here. Other side, sit back on your heels. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, plant your hands. Inhale, slither through to Cobra pose. Pull the collarbones forward, open up the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot steps to right thumb, left knee drops. Inhale, arms up, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Find the back bend here. Exhale, plant the hands, left foot steps to the top of the mat, fold. Inhale, all the way up to stand, reach up, look up. Exhale, fold right back down. Right foot steps back into runner's lunge. Inhale, gaze comes forward. Exhale, left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, toes tucked, upward facing dog. Collarbones forward, proud through the chest. Drop the knees back into child's pose. Sweep the hands back by the ankles. We'll settle here for a couple rounds of breath. And so here, noticing the rate of the breath. Noticing how the body's feeling. If you've generated any heat. And sit back on your heels. Inhale, arms up alongside the ears. And exhale into child's pose. Inhale through Cobra pose, slither forward, pull the collarbones through, open up the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll stay here in this downward facing dog. And take a bunch of little tiny steps all the way up to the top of the mat. So you can take as many little steps as you can, really straightening out the legs. You can bend them as much as you need to. You can come up onto your fingertips, really coming to a forward fold at the top of the mat. And then bring your hands to your hips and hinge from your hips on an inhale to come all the way up to stand. And so now you can take your feet wide across the mat. So you can go the long way across the mat. So you can take a wide-legged stance here. And reach both arms out so you're like a starfish shape. We'll work with a little standing flow here. We'll work through a reverse warrior and a side angle pose, and we'll link it with breath. So take your left toes and turn them up towards the top of your mat and bend into the left knee, coming into warrior two. And take your left palm and flip it and inhale, reverse warrior. Really reach up through the left fingertips. And then come back up, plant the left forearm on the left thigh, and reach the right arm up alongside the ear for side angle. And so in this side angle, really press into the right foot, really reach up through the right fingertips. And then inhale yourself, straighten the legs, reposition the feet, you're back in the starting shape. And we'll do that on the other side. So this time, turn the right toes out to the right and bend into the right knee. Flip the right palm, inhale, reach up and back, reverse warrior on this side. Really bend deeply into the right knee. And then exhale, bring the right forearm to the right thigh, left arm by the ear, side angle. We'll linger here for a moment, press into the left foot, reach up through the left fingertips. Again, being really honest with yourself, really noticing where it feels good. If you feel like you're pushing too hard, being true to what's working in your body today, and that can change day to day. Inhale yourself back up, straighten into the right leg, turn the right toes back to the long edge of the mat. We'll do that a couple more times. Turn the left toes, bend into the left knee. Inhale, reverse warrior, reach up and back. Exhale, side angle, reach the right arm alongside the ear. Inhale, back up through center, back to the original shape. Turn the right toes to face the top of the mat and bend into them. Breath in, flips the palm, reach up and back for reverse warrior. And exhale, bring the right forearm down, left arm by the ear, side angle. Inhale, back up through center. Turn the toes back in the starting place. Exhale, left toes turn, bend into the knee. Inhale, reverse warrior, reach up and back with the left fingertips. And exhale, left arm down, right arm by the ear, side angle. Inhale, back up through center, turn the toes, straighten the leg. Exhale, turn the right toes, bend into the knee. Inhale, flip the palm, reverse warrior, reach up and back with the right hand. And exhale, right arm to right leg, left arm alongside the ear. Inhale, back up through center, and then take a couple more rounds of this at your own breath pace. Say 2 rounds so that you're not tied to my cues. Really, this is an opportunity to make this your own, so flowing at your own breath pace, omitting, adding, whatever works for you. Right, listening into the body, how the body's responding to these shapes. Might be different today than it was yesterday. And that's really what the practice asks of us. Tune into the present moment. And Satya asks us to have a true relationship with ourselves and the world around us. And so finish up the round that you're on. No rush to get there. And once you finish, you bring your feet together and stand at the top of your mat. Your toes can touch, arms out by the side. A nice strong mountain pose. So activate the kneecaps so the fronts of the legs engage. And take a moment to pull the shoulders up to the ears and then roll them down the spine so that you can open up the chest. We'll do that again. Pull the shoulders up towards the ears, shrug them up, and then roll them back. Really open up the chest here. And take an inhale, bring both arms all the way up. Grab a hold of the left wrist with the right hand, and then take a big side bend over towards the right. And so just as we did when we were seated earlier, step down through the left foot, reach up through the left fingertips. Maybe find a little bit more space in this orientation, or maybe it's just a little bit different. And so notice how the body responds to it. Do you want to go deeper? Do you want to go less deep? Observing, making a calculated response based on your observation. And it's true and honest to where you are today. Inhale up through center, switch the grasp, and then take the bend over to the other side, reaching over to the left, reaching the right fingertips up and over. Really step down through the right foot and reach up through the right fingertips. And then inhale back up through center. And exhale, fold, curl yourself into a tiny little ball at the top of your mat. Like bend into the knees. Make yourself as small as you can up at the top of your mat. Let your head hang. And then as you're ready, come to find a seat. We'll move into one of our first restorative shapes for tonight. So make sure that you have your props nearby. If you didn't get props, this would be a great opportunity to get a couple pillows, a couple of yoga blocks, a few blankets. More props that you have, the better you'll be to really be well supported. And so we're gonna move into a supine twist here. So what I'll encourage you to do is take your pillows and stack them up at the top of your mat. And I'll demo this shape real quick and then we'll walk you into it so that you can really make sure that you know where you're headed. It still might be nice to have a blanket laid out across the mat. And you'll come up against whatever you have, your stack of pillows. You'll bring your left hip up against it. And your legs can be stacked off to the side. They can be stacked. Again, these are very personal choices. You slowly begin to turn the torso, take your hands to frame the bolster or pillows or whatever you're working with, and then slowly lower the torso down onto whatever support you have. So this is a twist coming down onto the belly. If coming down to the belly doesn't feel good for you, you're more than welcome to take it on the side. Some other variations that might feel nice is if you have yoga blocks, you can set up your pillows so that you're on a little bit of a slant. That can sometimes feel nice too, to make a little ramp that you can wrap your arms underneath. It also might feel nice if you have an extra blanket to take that and put it between the knees and set yourself up in this shape like this. You can begin to slowly make your way into this shape. With the restorative practice, there's really no right or wrong way to handle any of these shapes. So if you have something that doesn't feel good for you, you're welcome to make adjustments, make movements, to really get yourself to a place where you can be comfortable. So take as much time as you need to get into this shape. We'll be in this shape for the next several minutes. So really be smart about how you set yourself up. Be honest with how you set yourself up. And if at any time the shape doesn't feel like it serves you, you're welcome to come out of it or make any adjustments. So as you're in this restorative shape, you can close your eyes. Closing the eyes brings the mind into the imagination or thought. You can just let the eyes be heavy and take your focus on something uninteresting in your space. Really work to find just a little bit more relaxation in the body. So notice if you're clenching your jaw. Notice if the tongue is pressed up against the roof of the mouth. Invite a bit of softness into the face. And finding the truest, the most honest expression that you can be in, where you can be relaxed. And if you find that the mind is full of racing thoughts and it's moving, that's completely normal, it's completely natural. And this is an opportunity to watch those thoughts and not engage with them. Let them pass. Just like you would watch clouds move through the sky. Maybe the belly is making contact with a pillow. And you can use that contact to direct the breath more into the belly. Imagining the breath filling the space behind the belly button, filling all the way down into the pelvic bowl. And take 3 more really deep breaths into the low belly, expanding the low belly. Breathing completely out. And when you finish your third breath, begin to make your way out of this shape, and we'll make our way out just as intentionally as we came in. So plant your hands down really carefully. You can even keep the eyes closed or heavy as you do this, pressing the hands down to lift the torso off of whatever support you had. And there's no rush to get up. Keep the intention inward. And we'll simply switch to the other side. So you can flip the knees up, brush the low back against your pillow support, and set the other hip up. And the same options apply here. And take your hands to frame your support, whatever that may be. Slowly lower the torso down onto your pillows, onto your blankets, onto your bolster. And the body is not symmetrical, so you may need to make some adjustments, maybe to the height of your support. Maybe you want to take a blanket between the knees on this rough side. Again, unclench the jaw. Notice the sensation of the breath in the low belly. Are there any muscles in your body that can do less work? You release the neck. Relax the fingers. Noticing the breath. And take 3 more really deep breaths into the low belly. Expanding behind the navel. Filling the entirety of the pelvic bowl. As you're ready, begin to make your way out of this shape with as much care as you got into it. Planting your hands down, keeping the eyes heavy. There's no rush to get out. Lift your torso off of the support. Bring your low back to the pillows and extend your legs out. So you're seated for just a moment with your legs extended out in front of you. Just take a really gentle forward fold. So reach down towards your ankles, towards your feet, towards the backs of your legs. You can keep the knees bent here. You can let the head hang heavy. And this isn't about touching the toes or the ankles. Just offering a bit of a counter shape, creating a little bit of space in the low back. Maybe you direct the breath down into that section of the low back there. And practicing satya, honesty with your body, and doing what serves you in the moment today. And slowly make your way out of the fold and bring your low back up against whatever pillow setup that you had. And walk your feet so that your soles of your feet are down on the mat and your knees are bent. And then slowly lay yourself back down onto your pillows. And so this might take a couple rounds of trial and error. Maybe you stack a few more pillows. Maybe you take a few pillows away. Really what you're looking to do is just settle the back body down on some sort of support. The chest can lift up a little bit higher than the pelvis. I'll suggest that you keep your palms down and your forearms down, just so that you can have nice contact down with the mat. And as for the legs, you have options. You can extend your legs out straight. You can keep the knees bent and let the knees knock in towards one another, taking the feet a little bit wider than the hips. This can be really relaxing for the low back. Or alternatively, you could bring the soles of the feet together and then open up the knees into a butterfly shape. And if you're taking that Baddha Konasana butterfly shape, I'd advise that you maybe use a pillow or a yoga block underneath the knee, just so that the knees aren't floating up in space. And as we did with the other shapes, really take the time to set yourself up into a place where you can really relax the entirety of the body. Doing as little work as possible with the muscles. And here, once you feel comfortable, you're welcome to close the eyes or let the eyes be soft. And then exploring what it's like to direct the breath down into the low belly. Unclench the jaw. Relax the space between the eyebrows. And let your exhales be just a touch longer than your inhales. And with every exhale, can you find the smallest amount of softness in the body, in the mind? And so you have the option here to take your Shavasana, your final rest in this shape. Or if you'd like, you're welcome to carefully move your props aside and take a more traditional Shavasana, lying down on the back. And setting yourself up in a shape that serves you today. And rest, Shavasana. And slowly begin to bring your attention back to your breath. Introduce some small movements back into the body. Moving the fingers, moving the toes, the wrists, the ankles. And moving as carefully as you got into this shape. Make your way up into a comfortable seat. And as you begin to arrive, keep your eyes closed or heavy. And if it's a resonant gesture to you, you can take your hands together at heart center and sit up really tall. Reach up through the crown of the head. And take just one moment to thank yourself for coming to your mat today. And take a long inhale through the nose. And a long breath out through the mouth. Slowly blink your eyes open. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. It's been truly a pleasure. I hope that you can take something from this evening and carry it off into the rest of your night and the rest of your week. My name is Justin Kelleher. Thank you so much. It's truly been a pleasure.